Hello, welcome to the Reznor webinar. We're just going to give you a brief overview today of some of the products that Reznor has to offer, some of which you stock here at Pierce Phelps, others which are made to order, but certainly your contractors and your dealers are buying these products. Locally, you'll see that there are 3 people in the territory that you can contact, particularly for job site surveys and things of that nature, to go out and visit your contractors. John Wazalik, Wayne Warren, and Brian Cavanaugh. We are the reps in the territory for J.C. Mottinger Associates. So you probably want to make note of those phone numbers and make sure that you have them handy to get a hold of us if need be. So what we're doing really is not rocket science. It is kind of specialized, but it's not physics. So why do I say that? Because Reznor, we offer a ton of different products to meet the needs of your customer. So when we go in and look at a job, we're not just looking at selling infrared or looking at selling unit heaters or one particular type product. Because Reznor makes all of the products that you see here, we're able to go in with an open mind and pick the proper system or the proper unit to fit the application. So from unit heaters all the way to large make-up air, heating, cooling, dehumidification product or energy recovery type units, we can help with that. Still, the basis of a large part of what Reznor does is the unit heater. And you'll see here that the 2 unit heaters, 2 series of unit heaters that we have are the UDAP, which is our gravity vented or power vented units, the UDAS, which is our separated combustion unit, which is actually bringing air from outside into the unit for combustion. That would be used in an application where there may be a lot of dirt or dust in a garage or a wood shop. And then you'll see below the UEAS, which is also a separated combustion type unit, but it is high efficiency. It's 90+ condensing technology. Now the UDAP and the UDAS units both are approved for residential use from 30,000 to 125,000 BTU input. So that here at Pierce Phelps, you'll have whatever your contractor needs, whether it be for a commercial application or it be for a residential garage. This is the basis of our product. The heat exchanger you'll see there on the left-hand side, which is what we call our T-Core 2 heat exchanger, is matched up with a burner that was designed and engineered to work seamlessly with that product. You'll find that this burner and this heat exchanger are used in a large part of what Reznor does. Why it was attractive is because it's a one-piece burner, so from a 30,000 BTU to a 400,000 BTU unit, you're going to have one burner with just one orifice. And it also is an 83% thermally efficient heat engine. This shows one of our high efficiency condensing UEAS units, and pretty much all of our model numbers, the UEAS, UDAS, and UDAP, are broken down in this fashion. So you'll see those 4 letters and then the 3 numbers after it would determine what the input size would be. So anywhere from 030 at 30,000 input up to 400,000. This just gives you a view of what our condensing UEAS unit heater looks like. So from about midpoint where the gas valve is there up to the front where the louvers are discharging the warm air, it's pretty much the same as our UDAP or UDAS unit heater. Same heat exchanger, a lot of the same components, same burner, same gas valves. But from the back end to the right, back to the propeller, that's where our secondary heat exchanger is, and that allows the unit to condense out and grab that extra latent energy that's in the flue gases to make it a true high-efficiency condensing appliance. All of our units come with, and in English, by the way. This one's in French. I don't know why they put that in there, but they are in English. Our model and serial number tag on the inside of the unit. And both of these numbers, with particular the serial number, is the most important number that you can find actually on any Reznor piece of equipment, not just the unit heaters, but anything that we make. That serial number is the most important thing that you'll find in there. Because with that serial number, we can go all the way back to 1992 in Reznor's system, and we can tell you where it was shipped, we can tell you what the model number is, we can tell you what the size of it is, we can tell you all the options, if there are options on it, just by that serial number. So when you open up the inside of the unit, you'll find that model tag with the serial number, also a list of commonly ordered parts, such as gas valves and fan motors, and then also to the very left there you'll see wiring diagrams. Each one of the unit comes with a wiring diagram. Now if that wiring diagram gets lost, as you can see here, this is right out of the installation manual, but if that gets lost and you can't find that serial number, there's a couple different ways that we can help you with that. The first one is there's a 6-digit number down at the bottom of the wiring diagram. If you give us that number, we can go once again on the Reznor system, we can give you a PDF of that model. But of course, if you've lost that, you wouldn't have that wiring diagram number. So once again, we go back to the serial number. That gives us a lot of information, including the wiring diagrams, and we can provide that as a PDF for your customer. Once again, most of our product, you have to refer to the installation manuals before installing. But as far as where we stand gas firing wise, our inlet range for most of our product on natural gas is from 5-inch minimum to 14-inch maximum on the gas pressure inlet range. Propane is 11 inches to 14 inches, a little narrower window, but it's good to know. Outlet, the burner side would be 3.5 inches, and on propane it would be 10 inches. So we would need those inlet pressure ranges to guarantee those outlet gas pressure ranges on either natural gas or propane. Now, most of our product is indirect fired, and indirect fired meaning that we have a heat exchanger in between the airflow and the combustion side of the appliance. We do make some direct fired, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But for the most part, most of our product is indirect fired. That's what our unit heaters are. You'll see here, this is our packaged heating equipment, which is indirect fired. We can make them in a rooftop configuration, an indoor packaged configuration, a heating and ventilating unit. So in other words, it's going to use some return air and some outside air. And we also make large split system units for heating, cooling, and dehumidification of makeup air. And typically they're going to be indirect fired as well. This is a view of our duct furnaces. We make lots of duct furnaces from 100,000 BTU input up to 400,000 BTU input, and they're still used in new jobs and replacements. And essentially, it's what the name says. It's a duct furnace. It's a unit that is going to be used with an external fan or air handler to provide heating into a duct system or a ducted system. They can be made either indoor or outdoor, natural or propane, and gravity vented, power vented, or separated combustion. What you'll see here is one of our separated combustion units, which once again brings air from outside for combustion and then power vents the flue products out through an approved venting kit. We also offer infrared heating, and that's high intensity as well as what you see here, which is low intensity, tubular type infrared heating. This is line of sight heating, meaning that the heater has to have a target in sight to do proper heating. It heats objects and not air like the indirect fired products we've talked about thus far. But it is a great alternative for areas where you have very high infiltration or exfiltration. Places where they may work on vehicles where the doors are opening and closing quite frequently, or they're open all the time. Loading dock areas. They provide warm, comfortable heating in those applications. The CAUA here is an indirect fired, large BTU input, almost residential type furnace. We make these units from 150,000 BTU up to 400,000 BTU. And what this type of product eliminates is for the contractor to have to twin two residential furnaces together in a commercial application. This furnace, as I said, that we start out at 150,000 BTU, which is typically where residential product stops, and we make it up to 400,000. Two 30-volt single phase is power. And the nice thing about this as well, if cooling is required, we can also provide a packaged cooling coil, DX cooling coil from 5 to 15 ton from Reznor that will fit right on top of this unit. So it can be matched up with any manufacturer's condensing unit to provide cooling as well. Air turnover or air rotation are very large heating and cooling units, particularly heating, that provide in a large space very comfortable heating. The science between or behind, I should say, air rotation or air turnover is being able to turn over or rotate that air in the building at least 1.5 to 2 times for heating. And what that does is it removes that warm air that typically will stack up in the ceiling and helps stop exfiltration. Exfiltration is when that warm air wants to go to the outside, which is colder. Hot air wants to go to cold. When we exfiltration, that stops infiltration. And when we reduce infiltration, that reduces essentially the load, the heating load on the building. So the air turnover unit does a very good job of moving that air, preventing exfiltration and infiltration, and it gives you a good temperature gradient from the ceiling to the floor, about 2 to 3 degrees. So up in the ceiling deck, it would be maybe 73 degrees, and down at the floor where people are at is typically about 70 degrees. And this is a view of what an air rotation looks like. Now, this picture, it's hard to scale, but that burner up at the top end there is a large industrial burner. These units typically stand about 12 to 15 feet or higher. And they're open at the bottom, as you can see, for screened return air back in, and discharge at the top on all 4 sides. Screened allows very open access for that air to be distributed throughout the building. These units also have large propeller fans in them that move that air. Very high amounts of CFM or large volumes of air move through these things. And that's how we achieve that air turnover or air rotation. This is a unique product for Reznor. This is what's known as our high bay heater. And it looks like a large unit heater. We like to call it a unit heater on steroids. But it moves much more air than what a typical unit heater does, and it comes in much higher input sizes than a typical unit heater. It starts out at 400,000. We make one in an 800 and a 1,000,002. And essentially what this unit does, it's suspended unlike an air rotation unit, but it moves large amounts of air like an air rotation unit so that we can get that 2-degree gradient between ceiling and floor. So this is a unique product, and for your contractor, he would use something like this where perhaps air rotation is being specified, or multiple unit heaters, or perhaps where a direct fired pressurization unit like a Cambridge unit would be used. And we're going to talk about those in a little bit as well. But this is proprietary to Reznor, and as a Reznor distributor, you would have this where your competition wouldn't. And this unit comes with what's known as an indoor economizer. Essentially what that indoor economizer is a thermistor that's adjustable that allows the fan on the unit only to operate when that set point is reached up in the ceiling. So it drives all of that stratified, stacked warm air down to where it can be used. Now, make-up air systems is keystone of what Reznor does. In fact, Reznor back in the 50s essentially invented make-up air. What make-up air is mechanically introduced air that would make up air for, say, an exhaust fan or some other apparatus that's pulling air out of a building. Now, once we do make that air up, we also have to treat it. We either have to heat it or cool it before it enters the building so as to not tax the comfort heating or cooling products that are already doing the job in the space. So where would we use makeup air? Where would it be required? It would be required in buildings where exhaust fans are used to remove smoke or odors or fumes or dust, such as kitchens, oven hoods, paint booths, and things of that nature. Also in facilities where air is required for pressurization, where we want to slightly pressurize the building so that we can keep doors open, dock doors, or make it easy for doors to open when we're entering a space because of exhaust fans. So we make a plethora of units that can be used for makeup air. So indirect fired, we talked about units that would have a heat exchanger that separate the combustion side of the burner from the air distribution side. And we also make direct fired burners, which is a burner that fires directly into the airstream. These can be in an indoor or an outdoor configuration. They can also be heating only, or they can provide cooling and dehumidification for areas where that's required. They can be gas-fired, either natural or propane gas, or they can be oil-fired. We make large oil-fired units, or a combination of both. It can be in a vertical or horizontal configuration. So this is where John or Wayne or Brian would come in and be able to help you pick the right unit for the right application. So this will give you a view of what some of those look like. So our indirect fired indoor and outdoor units are shown there up on the top right-hand side. And then we make direct fired units, indoor and outdoor, the ADF and the RDF type units that would be able to provide makeup air with a direct fired burner. So once again, here are all the things that the questions, and I don't expect you to remember all these. These are what we do when we come out and look at the job, but these are all the different types of things that we're going to look at when we're asked to come in and help select a makeup air unit. So we did mention a little bit earlier direct fired. So as I had stated earlier, direct fired unit is a unit that does not have a heat exchanger in it. And it's where the burner fires directly into the airstream. And why we do that is because on larger CFM jobs, particularly in process or industrial type applications, we're able to get a greater turn down. And what that is being able to match the gas-fired capability of the unit as the air flows through the unit to gain more efficiency through the unit. So when we're able to turn down a unit, its input, we're able to garner higher thermal efficiency than an indirect fired unit. And when you get into high CFM applications, that's pretty important. And this will just give you a view of what those direct fired units, what the pattern or the layout, the configuration of these units look like. So from the top, we could do just 100% outside air. From the middle there, we can provide a variable airflow rate with 100% outside air. And then at the bottom there, you'll see we can do units that do a combination of some return air with outside air as well. That leads us to the direct fired pressurization units. One of the names that you'll hear sometimes a lot is a Cambridge unit. That's what this unit is. The direct fired pressurization type unit is a direct fired unit that's bringing in 100% outside air to pressurize a space in order to heat it. There are some disadvantages to this. Because you're bringing 100% outside air in through this machine to heat a building, your temperature rises are much higher, which in some cases would require greater gas input to do that. The other product or the other problem or issue is the combustion byproducts are entering into the space. So you have to make sure that you have proper ventilation so that we don't get condensation of those the water vapor and the flue gases in the space. But we do offer these, and if you have a customer that is looking for a Cambridge type unit, we can certainly offer it to them. And then once again, going through the indirect fired, it is that unit that has a heat exchanger that separates the combustion products from the airstream. And this is probably the larger part of what we do as far as makeup air product. This will also show you we make products that could be used for makeup air that have separated combustion furnaces, duct furnaces. And you can see them there in parallel as they go, or in series as they go, are installed in the larger commercial products. We can also offer cooling coils, DX cooling coils and chilled water cooling coils in those indirect fired makeup air units that we talked about. And with the DX cooling units, we actually make a condensing unit called the M series, the MASA, which can be used for 100% outside air, cooling that makeup air as well as heating it 100% outside air. And this condenser is by no means to compete with Carrier or Bryant product that you already have. It's designed specifically for outside air applications because it's staged in a 1/3, 2/3 capacity where as the outdoor air conditions change, almost on an hourly basis in our area, we can match the load with our capacity on the cooling end. And we make these units from 5 up to 20 tons. We also make large packaged heating and cooling units, which is the one you see there up on the right-hand side. That's our P125 and MAP series. And where that would be required are some of the applications here: hotels, motels, nursing homes, laboratories, kitchens and restaurants, high-rise buildings for corridor ventilation, or multi-apartment buildings, multi-unit apartment buildings for corridor ventilation. That would be able to condition that makeup air 365 days a year. And this is just a view of those large packaged units that we make. So we can make them anywhere from 5 tons of cooling up to 70 tons of cooling for 100% outside air. And we can do those as split units as well. And the last item I'd like to talk about today is our indoor air quality or ventilation unit, which is the Z62 unit. Essentially what this unit does, it allows us to provide ventilation air, particularly for VRF heating and cooling systems, by offering a heat pump with an energy recovery wheel wedged in between the heat pump coils. This unit pre-treats the air before it reaches the building. And this is a great product and was designed by Reznor to match VRF systems that are out there today that have become very popular, particularly commercially with heating and cooling. And this fulfills the ventilation requirements for those types of systems. Standard features are a digital scroll compressor with EC exhaust and supply fan motors, so they have variable speed motors as well as a variable speed compressor that will match the load coming in from the outside. And this product, as I said, matches the VRF systems perfectly. It's designed to provide that ventilation air that's required on commercial systems, but yet the VRF systems can't handle. So if you ever come up against a job like that, please give either John or Wayne or Brian a call. We can help you with this. So essentially what we're doing, we're taking that outside air, we're doing a pretty good job of dehumidifying with that energy recovery wheel before it ever hits the heat pump side, and it's designed to deliver air in a 70-degree discharge condition at about 45% relative humidity. So we want to make sure that you are picking or selecting the proper product for the job, and that's kind of where we are to help John and Wayne and myself. That's our contact information once again. You didn't get it when we first started. And I want to thank you for taking some time out to talk to us today.